Hello, River of Life Community Fellowship. It is time once again for another midweek check-in. So we started a new series this week called Gods at War, and it deals with the idea of idolatry. This idea that there are these idols or these false gods in our lives that are at war for our hearts, that are at war for our focus and our attention, and they are ever present and always there. And we talked about some different things about what is an idol, what is idol worship. And we talked about how even in our day and age that everybody worships something, even the atheist who insists that they worship nothing really, they worship something, whether that be science or reason or even their own atheism. They give that full authority and their full devotion, and it becomes an object of worship for them. And, we talked about some different questions we can ask to help identify the idols in our lives. And it was overall, I think this whole series is going to be a good series. So I encourage you to, if you missed last week's message, it's in the description, the link in the description. You can click on that and go right to the message. But I also just encourage you to connect with us for the rest of the series too. I think it's going to be a very eye-opening series, and I think it's really going to do a good thing in our heart to draw us close to God and really allow Him to do a work in us that really will transform our lives and will put us in a position where God can use us to transform the lives of the people around us. So I encourage you to be a part of this series, if at all possible. But today I wanted to take some time and just, I wanted to share with you a story from my own life and a time when God revealed to me an idol that I had and how He told me to respond to that, and then what came of it because of how I responded to it and because of what God had told me to do. So, for as long as I can really remember, or at least in terms of like high school and beyond, I've always been what I would consider to be a hopeless romantic. Like I always wanted to be romantic and just to have a girl in my life that I could just dote on and love and have a relationship. But see, in high school though, I was a nerd, and like, through and through, I was scrawny and I was a nerd, and I didn't have a whole lot of confidence around women. So I didn't have much for girlfriends when I was in high school. But I do remember at one point just kind of walking through the halls, and I don't know what was going on exactly, but I remember thinking this question in my head is like, I wonder if I've already met the girl who's going to be my wife, or if it's someone I have yet to meet. Like I remember thinking that in high school. And, so then I get out of high school and I had a year off, and a year off before college. And then I started college. And throughout this whole time, this kind of same thing was going on where I just had this desire to have a girl who could potentially become a wife, to have a girlfriend who could potentially become a wife. And it became such a like consuming thought for me that any girl I met was really looked at through this lens of, is there a possible relationship here? And what are the chances that relationship could lead to marriage? And so like that was a thought I really had with just about every girl I met. And, I carried that into my first year of college too, where it was just like constantly this constant thought going through my head. And that really affected the way that I interacted with girls, because like there was this part of me that just like, okay, I need to be careful how I act around them, if there's a potential relationship, and I need to be thoughtful of it so that I don't mess something up. And like, I don't think I really consciously did that, but there was just this constant, subconscious thing going on where I was constantly doing that. And then after my first year of college, I went on a summer missions project with Cru, Campus Crusade for Christ. And, I spent 9 weeks in Lake Tahoe, California, surrounded by 70 other college kids. And I remember during the time, or about halfway through the time, they had this this thing where they had this guy's time and this girl's time, where the guys and girls of this group just split up. They went kind of their own separate places, and they just kind of talked about things. And I remember we had a panel of some of the staff men, and they were talking. One of them is name was Dallas. He was at that time he was 29 years old, and he said, I made a decision when I was in college that I wasn't going to date until I was ready to get married. And he's like, I'm really kind of feel like I'm at that point now. And like, it just kind of struck me because I'd never even, who would do that? Right. I mean, who would make a decision to not date? It was weird to me. But then, I had thought about it and I prayed about it. And it was really before that night was even over. God was pointing out to me that girls were a distraction. Like they were distracting me from my relationship with God because I was putting so much focus on this idea of having a relationship. And God pointed out to me that it was an idol. It was an idol in my life. It was something that was taking devotion from him. And once he did that, I was like, okay, I do need to deal with this. And so my decision was, I'm not gonna date until I'm ready for marriage. And, just because of my logical linear way of thinking and my desire to be in control and have a plan, I kind of laid out some steps like, okay, like these are things that need to be in place before I can look at dating. Like, because obviously dating was to get married. That was the point of it, was to see if I could marry this person. And so what's the point of dating if I'm not ready to get married? And that was kind of my linchpin. And what would make me ready to get married? Well, I need to have a job so I could support a family. I would need to be emotionally and spiritually mature enough to handle a marriage. And then the third one is I needed to not have the distraction of college. And so that was just kind of like, okay, there's three things, right? But that meant no dating while I was in college. And it was interesting to me because as soon as I made that decision, the way I approached relationships with girls totally changed. And I noticed it. Like I was actually able to develop some good friendships with girls because I wasn't like constantly holding things back or trying to gauge how I was acting around them with because I didn't want to ruin a potential relationship. I was just friends with them. And it really kind of opened up this door for me. But then it also like it cleared me up, just my mind and my focus to really dig into God. And through that, like through the rest of that summer, God did amazing things in my life. And then I came back to the college, and through the rest of my college career, God continued to grow and develop me and build things in me that still have a huge impact on my life today, even almost 20 years later. And so it was a decision that had a lasting impact on me. And then one of the things that I really think about with that is like, because I didn't date while I was in college, and there were times I wanted to, and God was very clear with me that the answer was no. Because I didn't do that, that really put me in a position where when I was ready to date, and like the woman who is now my wife was available, like it made it easy. Like I was able to just step into that and, take that big step to ask her out to dinner. And, because of that, I look at the change that God brought about in my life because I took this idol, this thing that was worshiping, and I put it in submission to him. Because I did that, he was able to do things in me that led really in so many ways to what I'm doing now, to the life I have now, to the job I have now, and really everything that comes in the future. God was able to prepare me for all of those things because I took this thing that was stealing devotion from him and I put it in subjection to him. I put it under his authority and I let him be in control of it. And when that, like I said, when it happened, it changed me. And the benefits of that are just innumerable. So my encouragement to you today is, let's deal with the idols. Let's figure out what they are. Let's deal with them. Let's get rid of the ones and destroy the ones that need to be destroyed. Let's take the rest, the good things in our lives that we put above God, and put them under God, put them in subjection to Him, and just allow God to work through that and allow God to transform our lives in such a way that we're in the position we need to be in for Him to do mighty work through us. So that's my encouragement to you today. Once again, if you missed this last week's sermon, I encourage you to check it out and continue to pay attention to the rest of this sermon series. I think it's going to be life changing for a lot of us. So that's my encouragement for you today. I hope and pray that you're able to connect deeply with God this week, and that He's able to show you the things in your life that you need to put under His authority. Thanks, and God bless.